Hi everyone. So this video is going to be some extra examples about types of sequences. So you can watch this video to get some examples, try the extra practice problems, and then try the requiz. Okay, so let's say we want to come up with our own example of an arithmetic, geometric, and shifted geometric sequence. What we want to do here is pick our start value, and then pick either the common difference or the ratio or the number we add and multiply by, and then use that to generate the sequence. So for arithmetic, let's say we're going to start at 100, and we're going to add 5 every time. So I just made those numbers up. Then the sequence would be 100, 105, 110, 115, and so on. So I chose my start value, I chose the number I add, and then I just added 5 to my start value a bunch of times to get some terms in the sequence. For geometric, we're going to do the same thing, but now we need to choose a number that we multiply by. So let's start at, 50 and multiply by 2. Then our sequence would be 50, that's our first term, multiply by 2 to get 100 as the next term, multiply by 2 to get 200 as the next term, multiply by 2 to get 400, and so on. So we choose the start, and we choose a number to multiply by. Shifted geometric is more complicated because we need a start, we need a multiply number, and we need an add number. So let's say we start at 1, let's just keep it simple. Let's multiply by 5, and let's add 2. Okay, so I start at 1. To get the next term, I multiply by 5 and add 2. So that would be 5 plus 2 is 7. Now to get the next term, I multiply by 5 and add 2. So 7 times 5 is 35, plus 2 is 37. Okay, next term we need to multiply by 5 first, so 37 times 5 is 185, plus 2 is 187, and so on. So that's a strategy you can use to generate your own examples of sequences, so you're making up your own example. Okay, next we want to practice again identifying the sequence type and the common ratio or common difference. So we want to find the pattern in the sequence. Are we adding or are we multiplying? So generally I start by checking, are we adding or subtracting? So -1 to 3, that's plus 4. But then 3 to -9, now we've gone back down. That's going to be minus 12. So we're not adding or subtracting the same number, so it's not arithmetic. So let's try multiplying. So -1 to 3, that would be times -3. Then 3 to -9, that's also times -3. -9 to 27, also times -3. So we're always multiplying by -3, which makes this a geometric sequence, and our common ratio is -3. That's the number we multiply by every time. Okay, let's look at the next one. So first let's just check, does adding or subtracting work? So 50 to 35 is -15. 35 to 20, also -15. 20 to 5, also -15. So we're always subtracting 15. So that makes this an arithmetic sequence, and our common difference is that -15. Okay, another one, 46 to 60, that's plus 14. 60 to 74, plus 14. 74 to 88, plus 14. So we're adding the same numbers, so we've got another arithmetic sequence. And our common difference this time is positive. It's that positive 14. All right, last one, and these I think are the trickiest ones. So we're clearly not adding or subtracting the same number each time, because 5, 12, to 64, that's a huge decrease, and then 64 to 8 is not nearly as much. You might notice that 512 to 64 is divide by 8. 64 to 8, divide by 8. 8 to 1, divide by 8. So we're always dividing by 8. So does that make it geometric or arithmetic? So it's clearly not arithmetic because we're not adding or subtracting. And it turns out it's geometric because division can also be represented as multiplication by a fraction. So dividing by 8 is the same as multiplying by 1/8. So if we notice that we're always dividing by the same number, we get a geometric sequence. And our common ratio is going to be that corresponding fraction that we could multiply by. So dividing by 8, our common ratio is 1/8. If we were dividing by 10, the common ratio would be 1/10. Dividing by a million, the common ratio 1/1,000,000. All right, so those are some more examples for the types of sequences problems. Hopefully that helps you guys out a little bit. Go try the extra practice questions and check your answers, and then you can be ready for your re-quiz.